There's a moment, usually somewhere around your closet, staring at a hanger, when you realize a piece you used to reach for without thinking now feels off. Not because it's out of style, not because you've let yourself go, but because your body, your skin, your energy, all of it has evolved, and some pieces just stopped speaking the same language you do now. Nobody tells you this stage exists. You go from dress for your body type articles in your 20s straight through decades of trends telling you what's hot and what's not. And then somewhere around 50, the conversation just stops. As if style suddenly stops mattering. As if the goal now is simply to cover yourself up and disappear quietly into your own background of your life. I don't believe that. I've never believed that. And if you're watching this, some part of you doesn't believe it either. Today, I'm walking you through 5 specific pieces I retired from my closet after 50, not out of insecurity, not because someone told me I aged out of them, but out of self-respect, self-knowledge, and a genuine desire to look like the fullest, most elevated version of who I am right now. And for each one, I'm giving you exactly what I replaced it with, why it works better, and how you can start making the same switch in your own closet, piece by piece, without spending a fortune doing it. This isn't about rules. I want to say that clearly before we even begin. This is not a list of things you're not allowed to wear after a certain birthday. If you love a piece and it makes you feel like yourself, keep it. Rules be damned. This is simply what I've learned through trial, error, and a fair number of mirror moments where I looked at myself and thought, that's not it anymore. Take what's useful, leave what isn't, and let's get into it. Before we get into it, if you're someone who believes style after 50 should feel elevated, not invisible, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. This channel is a home for women who are just getting started, not winding down, and I genuinely love to have you here for what's coming next. 1. Baggy, shapeless comfort clothes. Let's start here, because so many of us fall into this trap with the best of intentions. Somewhere along the way, we get the message that after a certain age, comfort and shape are mutually exclusive, that if it's soft and loose, it must be age-appropriate, and if it has any structure to it at all, it must be trying too hard. So we start collecting oversized tunics, boxy cardigans, elastic waist everything, shapeless jersey dresses that could double as a nightgown, all in the name of ease. I want to be honest, I lived in these pieces for a stretch of my late 40s. I told myself it was practical. I told myself I'd earned the right to stop fussing with my clothes. And there is truth in wanting ease, but here's what I didn't account for. Shapeless clothing doesn't actually hide anything. It adds visual bulk. It erases the waistline, which for most of us is still one of our most flattering features well into our 50s, 60s, and beyond. Instead of looking relaxed and put together, it can read as tired, like we've stopped trying even when that's the furthest thing from the truth. There's a real difference between comfortable and shapeless, and for years I conflated the two. The other thing nobody mentions is what shapeless clothing does to your posture and your energy. When you're swimming in fabric, you move differently. You round your shoulders slightly to accommodate the extra material. You don't stand as tall because there's nothing about the garment giving your body a frame to stand into. Clothes that actually fit, even loosely, even comfortably, give you something to hold yourself against. That matters more than we give it credit. What I replaced it with. Structured comfort. This is the phrase I want you to hold on to for this entire section because it's the antidote. Think ponte knit blazers. They have all the ease of a cardigan but hold their shape at the shoulder and don't collapse when you sit down. Think wrap dresses with real definition at the waist, where the tie does the work of a fitted seam without ever feeling restrictive. Think wide leg trousers paired with a fitted top, The wide leg gives you room to breathe and move, while the fitted top on top gives the whole silhouette shape. You get all the comfort you're craving, none of the shapelessness that was quietly working against you. A good wrap dress in particular is doing double duty here. It's forgiving through the middle if that's an area you're conscious of, and it still shows the world you have a waist because the fabric is doing the shaping rather than a stiff seam. I'd also point you toward a good elastic waist trouser, not elastic waist as a giveaway, but the kind with a wide fabric-covered waistband that looks tailored from the outside and feels like leggings on the inside. Nobody needs to know your secret. 2. Fast fashion fabrics that don't move with you. In my 30s and 40s, I honestly didn't think twice about fabric content. Polyester blend, fine. Stiff cotton, fine. Whatever was on sale, whatever fit the budget that month, that's what came home with me. And for a long time, it didn't seem to matter much either way. But our skin changes after 50. It's thinner, it's more sensitive to friction and heat, and frankly, cheap fabric just doesn't hang on the body the way it used to hang on a younger body, or the way it hangs in the store on the mannequin. It clings in places you don't want clinging. It wrinkles unforgivingly the second you sit down in a car or a restaurant booth. And it can actually look more expensive cheap, if that makes sense, than the price tag would suggest, because thin polyester fabric has a very particular shine and stiffness that reads instantly, even from across a room. There's also a comfort dimension here that I didn't fully appreciate until I made the switch. Cheap synthetic fabric doesn't breathe. If you're dealing with any temperature regulation changes, and many of us are at this stage, wearing fabric that traps heat against your skin all day is doing you no favors. It's not just an aesthetic issue, it's a physical comfort issue that compounds over the course of a day. What I replaced it with? Fabrics with a bit of give and weight to them. A good ponte knit probably is my single most worn fabric now. It's got enough structure to hold a shape, enough stretch to move with you, and it almost never wrinkles, which for anyone who travels or has a full day ahead is a genuine gift. I've also come to love a mid-weight jersey with a touch of spandex woven in, enough to skim the body instead of cling to it, and for dressier pieces, a nice viscose or rayon blend drapes beautifully instead of clinging, catching the light in a way that reads as quality even from a distance. Here's a simple test I use now when I'm shopping, whether it's in a store or scrolling online. I picture the fabric on a hanger. Does it fall in soft folds, or does it just hang there stiff and flat? Stiff and flat is usually a sign it'll cling and wrinkle on the body. Soft folds usually means it'll move the way you move. It sounds small, but it has saved me from a lot of closet regrets. 3. Anything overly trendy for trend's sake. This one took me longer to learn than the first two, if I'm being fully honest with you. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from chasing every micro-trend. This season's it color, last month's viral top that every influencer under 30 was wearing, whatever's flooding your feed on a given week. And for a while, I chased it because I didn't want to feel like I was falling behind, like style was a train leaving the station without me. But trend pieces are usually designed for a body, a lifestyle, and a moment in someone else's life, often a much younger someone else. Worn without real intention on a body and in a life that trend wasn't built for, they can actually age us rather than modernize us. Not because of the item itself, but because of what it signals, that we're reaching for relevance rather than standing in our own. And that reads as trying to keep up rather than knowing exactly who we are. I want to be clear, this isn't about avoiding anything new or current, it's about the why behind the purchase. Buying a piece because you saw it everywhere and felt a flicker of anxiety about being left behind is a very different decision than buying a piece because it genuinely excites you and fits into how you already love to dress. What I replaced it with? A wardrobe built on personal signature pieces. quality basics with one or two elevated statement items that reflect my taste, not the algorithms. For me, that's a great tailored blazer in a rich color, worn constantly in constantly different combinations. It's a signature lip color I reach for almost every day, one that people who know me would recognize instantly. It's a pair of statement earrings, gold, always gold, that I've worn so consistently they've become a kind of visual shorthand for me. These become recognizably you, and that kind of consistency reads as confidence, not age. When you meet someone who has a signature, a color they always wear, a scarf they're never without, a lip shade that's unmistakably theirs, you register them as someone who knows themselves. That's the energy I'm chasing now, far more than I'm chasing whatever's trending this particular month. If a trend happens to align with what I already love, wonderful, I'll wear it, but it's no longer the starting point. 4. Uncomfortable, unsupportive shoes. I want to be especially honest with you here because this is the one I resisted the longest. I wore heels I had no business wearing well into my late 40s because I thought they were non-negotiable for looking put together, that flats, however elegant, were somehow a concession, an admission that I was slowing down. My feet paid for that belief, years of it actually, in ways that showed up later as real, lasting discomfort. And beyond the pain, which matters plenty on its own, ill-fitting, unsupportive shoes actually change your posture, the way you walk, and the way your entire outfit sits on your body. If your feet hurt, you don't stand the way you'd stand otherwise. You shift your weight oddly. You tense your shoulders without realizing it, and it shows, even if you can't quite name what's off about how someone's carrying themselves. There's also a practical piece here that matters more with each passing year. Balance and stability genuinely change over time for all of us. A shoe that doesn't support you properly isn't just uncomfortable, it's a real physical risk that simply isn't worth it for the sake of an extra inch of height. What I replaced it with? Elevated flats and low block heels with real cushioning built in. A good leather loafer, polished and structured, does more for an outfit than people give it credit for. A low block heel booty gives you a bit of lift and a beautiful silhouette without punishing your feet by hour 3. A supportive sandal with actual arch support, not just a flat sole with a strap, has become a summer staple I never thought I'd get excited about, and yet here we are. The secret nobody tells you is that a well-made flat or low heel in a rich material, leather, suede, a good structured fabric, reads more elegant than a cheap, unstable stiletto, not less. Quality and comfort were never actually opposites. We were sold that lie for decades, and letting go of it has genuinely changed how I move through my days. Not just how I look, but how I feel doing it. If this is resonating with you, take a second right now and subscribe. This isn't about chasing youth, it's about dressing like the woman you already are, confident, evolved, and done shrinking. And there's more where this came from. 5. Clothes chosen to not draw attention. This is the one that matters most, so I want us to sit with it for a moment before I move on. So many of us, somewhere in our 40s or 50s, start dressing to disappear. Muted colors, forgettable silhouettes, safe choices. Not because we love those pieces, not because they genuinely reflect our taste, but because some part of us absorbed a message over years that after a certain age we shouldn't be looked at, that fading quietly into the background is simply what maturity looks like, that visibility is for the young. I want to gently, firmly push back on that, because it isn't true, and it has never served us. Think about the women who first taught you what elegance looked like. I bet good money that at least a few of them wore color boldly, wore jewelry that caught the light, walked into rooms in a way that made people look up. Age didn't dim that. If anything, it sharpened it, because by the time a woman reaches this stage of life, she's usually not dressing for anyone's approval but her own. that kind of confidence is magnetic at any age, and it is absolutely not reserved for the young. What I replaced it with? Color intentionally and often. A rich emerald blazer that I get complimented on nearly every time I wear it. A deep burgundy wrap top that does more for my complexion than any neutral ever did. Gold jewelry that catches the light instead of hiding from it, worn without apology. This isn't about being loud for the sake of loud, it's intentional. Every color choice is still considered, still flattering, still elegant, but it's no longer designed to help me blend into a beige background, because visibility after 50 isn't something to apologize for. It's something to reclaim, one outfit, one bold color choice, one confident walk into a room at a time. Bringing it together. Here's what I want you to take from all of this. Every single piece I let go of wasn't a loss. It was a trade-up. Shapeless for structured, cheap clinging fabric for fabric that actually moves with the body I have now. Trend chasing for a signature style that's unmistakably mine. Pain for comfort that still looks and feels elegant. Invisibility for color that says clearly, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. Style after 50 isn't about mourning what used to work in a different decade, on a different body, in a different life. It's about paying attention to what actually works now, for the body you have, the life you've lived, and the woman you've become through living it. That woman, the one watching this video right now, deserves better than hand-me-down rules from a younger version of herself who no longer exists, and better than a culture that would rather she disappear quietly than take up space unapologetically. You get to decide what put together means for you at this stage. Nobody else gets that vote. Not the fashion magazines who stopped picturing women over 50 somewhere around the 1990s, not the algorithm, not even well-meaning family members with opinions about what's age-appropriate. Just you, your mirror, and the woman looking back at you. So here's my question for you. Which one of these 5 hit closest to home? Was it the shoes you finally gave yourself permission to retire? The color you've been afraid to wear again? The shapeless clothes you've been quietly hiding in for longer than you'd like to admit? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and honestly, this community teaches me as much as I hope I teach you every single week. If you loved this, you'll love what's coming next, because we are just getting started and there is so much more of this conversation left to have together. Before you go, subscribe, ring that bell, and join a community of women who are done apologizing for taking up space. I'll see you in the next one.